Oh yes, of course. This idea of eternal hell, I think some of them have already withdrawn, but not officially withdrawn yet. But now it seems what Chief Reverend heard is that they are going to have a council and to withdraw the idea of eternal hell. You see? Oh yes. Yes, it is true, you see. Because from time to time, you see, the idea of reincarnation can be found in the Bible too. You see, when Jesus spoke, referred to John the Baptist. How many of you read the Bible? John the Baptist was in the river Jordan and he was baptizing people with the water of Jordan, river Jordan. Then Jesus spoke of John the Baptist as what you call the coming of the Messiah of Elijah. And but people did not understand these things, you see. And it's only now that there are various researches done and on this subject, and they found that Jesus actually believed in reincarnation and other lives, and that what happened was in the council, in the second council, Vatican Council in Constantinople in 553 AD, that means 553 years after the birth of Jesus, that in that council they have burned that teachings with regards to reincarnation, rebirth. And they did not want the what you call the council members who attended that council did not like this teaching, so they went. So this is why now they are going to accept it again. And interesting, before I came back, I met somebody in Australia, and they came to us to preach to us, about good news that, and this good news actually they give us a lot of bad news, They say that we're going to end and so on, so on. And then I asked this one question. I asked them, now, when the world comes to an end, where do we go? We don't accept. If we don't accept Jesus, where do we go? Do we go to hell? No. You don't go to hell. But the same group has approached me some years ago. And I had raised a similar question, and they said, those who do not believe these things, they will go to hell. But now they say we don't go to hell. Only thing is we will die, and we have no chance to enjoy the paradise that will be on earth. They conceive of the idea that there is only this world will exist and there will be paradise on earth. And when we ask them, then if we don't enjoy, who is going to enjoy them? They say it's about 144,000 people, that's all. Yeah, he even mentioned this number, it's really fantastic. So 144,000 people is going to live in this, what you call coming world paradise. All others, no chance. But they don't go to hell also. Now they have removed this concept of hell now. This group has removed the concept of hell. They say they don't go to hell. They just die only. You see? Yes? He says no suffering also. He says no suffering also. For these people, no suffering. Then we ended up very quietly, very cordially, and he says, since then, we prefer to die like that. So he left. So you see how they are changing that us. Huh? Yes. Now you have some questions you want to ask. You see, sometimes there are some of them, who have what you call the lower. There are different kinds of spirits, different kinds, and in fact, there are some spirits residing in trees. Because human beings have ignorance, so much fear of, what of the unknown, when they see them, they get shocked, they die of shock. These petas don't strangle them. They don't strangle them. Only, human beings, not knowing, they get shocked. I will tell you one story, and this one, when we went to Japan, we were leading a delegation. Maybe somebody went, anybody? No, not from here. Just a few of us, YBAM. We went to Japan, and one day we visited the Mount Fuji. No? You know Mount Fuji? Why? I do not know. They must have some joke. Yes. Anyway, Fujiyama. Yes. Fuji-san. Huh? And now, in that certain place, there is a hotel. And we had to put up that place for a night. And now this group, as soon as we arrived, there's one other monk with me, and so we just took and we rest. Now, the others, they were in their, after they had their dinner, they were talking and laughing, and then it was quite late before they went to their own room. So, this one, he went to his room, and after he washed himself, he came out of his, bathroom, and he saw in the room, he saw a figure like samurai. And then he asked, what do you want? And he just stared like that. Then he asked, please, get out. And before he could say, get out, the sword came up. He saw him holding a sword. He got scared. He became cold, And it seemed, this is what he related in the morning. He just fell down, and then as soon as he's able to gain some, confidence, he started to chant. He started to do some chanting. After reciting, after a little while, then the figure disappeared. Just disappeared. And then, but he was still, he could not sleep, obviously. In the morning, when we went down for breakfast, we saw him pale-faced, and he was, he did not know what to say. Then we asked him what happened, And then he began to relate this story. And the other says, why don't you go and call those monks, the two monks there, and they can do something. I could not come out of the room. He said he could not walk. You see? Now, he had that so much fear. It's actually fear of the unknown. Now, this is not something new. So next time, when you go to any place, any empty place, now, the proper thing to do is to give your metta. radiate your loving kindness and purify those places. This is what the Buddha's advice also. Purify the place with your metta and tell them, you live, if you want to stay, all right, you can stay with me, but one corner, and don't disturb me, and all right, you can tell them either one corner or under the bed, okay, but don't disturb, don't make noise. They will live quite peacefully. Actually, they are harmless beings, you see, and because they have craving, because when upon their death, when there is strong craving, then they are reborn. That story in England, did you tell them? Oh, you told them that story, how the priest, that in sin, Yes. So, there are such beings, they can see sometimes, and they can see you, but they avoid you. But only thing is this, that story about, Chinese Buddhists are very clever. They know how to allow the ghost to come only once a month in the year. You know that? What month? 7 months. According to them, now I think these all belong just to the Chinese ghosts, not the other ghosts. Chinese ghosts are very considerate. They only come out once a year. And all others, but don't think that there are no other ghosts. There must be some other ghosts. Only the Chinese ones, they come up only once a month in the year, and then they go back. But others may be roaming around. You see, actually, it was misinterpreted. That the whole story about this, the seventh month festival has been misinterpreted, and the people have, totally, they have done the opposite thing. According to this sutta, Ulambana Sutta, this is a Sanskrit sutta. It is found in the Sanskrit version. It was written around the 5th century AD. On there has been Moggallana. They refer to Moggallana going down to the, what you call hell, to the suffering world. And it seems his mother was there. And when Moggallana went down, he brought along some food, And then obviously the mother must have grabbed that food, but upon looking, there were some other beings there all around, so she just, she did still that tendency of craving, attachment tendency, does not want to share, don't want to give dana, don't want to share with the other ghosts, you see. So she kept behind, but she didn't realize there was also hot around it, that after a little while, the food was burned, became charcoal, so she could not eat, And very hot in hell. We are talking about hell, you see. So the food that is down in hell got burned. And so this is a story how Moggallana realized that the mother could not be helped in this way. And then, when he approached the Buddha, and it is said that he was advised that the only way to help the mother was to do Sangikata, to give alms to the monks. Understand? To give alms to the monks, not to give offerings to the ghosts. But nowadays, what people are doing is they build up big, what you call big tents, and they say they offer to the pretas, they offer to the ghosts, not to the monks. So that's how they invite more ghosts to come up. You see? But there are now a few groups who, having studied, having understood this, during the season, they collect money and they go and make what you call offerings to the monks all around. And then dedicate these things for the well-being of their, what you call, relatives. Yes. Any other questions? Yes. Is what? Plants? No. Plants does not come under this category of living, conscious beings. And when we talk of mind and matter, mental, plants are physical. Understand? There is no consciousness in that being. And even from early times, during the time of the Buddha also, Jainism, in fact, the contemporary of the Buddha, Niganta Nasaputta, who was the leader of Jainism, and this Jainists believe that plants also are living beings, and therefore they do not believe in killing plants. Therefore they will not take any plants, they will not uproot any plants. They will not take, potatoes, onion, garlic, vinegar, all plants that are what you call, if they have to dig and kill the plant. But they will take leaves. They will take leaves, they'll take the fruits and what you call the bark of the trees. They can eat that, but they will not take anything, they uproot and kill the plant. Now, that is the belief which the Jainas have. So the Buddha refuted this belief, pointing out that plants are ekindriya satta. Ekindriya means eka indriya, one sense faculty. And that one sense faculty is the faculty of what you call the ability to respond to stimulus. So plants actually has the ability to respond to stimulus, and there are various kinds of stimuli. You know how the plant responds to light, sunlight, it grows, phototropism, and how it responds to gravity, geotropism, and how it responds to water. Plants, the roots will grow towards the water, hygrotropism. Now all this, the plants are responding, they are growing in this direction because of physical energy. Understand? It is not the decision of the plant to move. Plant cannot make that kind of decision. But today, there are quite a number of books which are written about plants, and some scientists have given that human feelings to plants. And this has arisen from some experiments which was done around 1960s, and one of these scientists was Jim Baxter in the United States. And I attended his during one conference in Washington, D.C. He had presented his paper in that conference supporting that the idea that plants can also feel and plants can also respond to, plants are like human beings, like any animals, they can feel. And because this experiment was done, because they have observed how there was an incident of certain potted plants growing in the home, and somebody came to murder. A murderer had come in, and when he entered, they had noticed this plant, move, reacted, you see. And later when they tested they attached the plant, the potted plant, onto a lie detector, they have also seen how when somebody comes with an aggressive thought to harm somebody, this plant had also reacted. So in their conclusion, this scientist had posited this conclusion that plants also have feelings and they can think, they can respond. But they fail to realize that the thoughts, our thoughts, energy, human thoughts, energy, plants, certain sensitive plants may also be able to respond towards our thoughts. That is why, so it is not that the plants can think and consciously move, but it is again an interaction of the thought energy. But there are some people who talk to plants and who sing to plants, like those people who grow tomato and they play music, the tomato grows very better. It is true, there are certain vibrations, and it is an observable phenomena if you plant what you call these coconut trees. Those coconut trees around the house, especially around the temple, they will have more fruits than those coconut trees far away. It is of the human, the vibration. And the Chinese believe that certain plants, if they flower, it will bring good luck to the house and so on, certain plants. If that house is peaceful, if the mental vibration, if the people are living with good vibration, mental vibration, then the plants too will grow well and flower. And when they flower, naturally, because there is peace and harmony in the home, then the plants flower, then we say good luck. It is nothing. There is, behind the superstition, there is something there, but you have to understand it in that perspective, you see. So that when you fight and quarrel at home, all your plants, also some of your plants may die. Yes, the wife may not, because when there is a lot of disharmony in the home, they won't bother to pour water. They won't bother to, so the plants will die eventually. But if you speak with good vibrations, again, harmonize. Yes, now it is 10 o'clock now. I think we have to carry on some other time. Dukkha here refers to all forms of unsatisfactoriness. So, who wants to start first? You come, and then there are 8 factors, the Noble Eightfold Path. There are 8 factors, so you can come and explain one by one. Yes. You are Yes. First they have to learn the Buddhist concept of right understanding. We learn in the Noble Eightfold Path what is right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. But then, again, we have to break down and take up one by one what is meant by right understanding. And generally what they have covered was this right understanding. We can say there are 2 kinds. Broadly we can divide them, and the understanding with regards to the nature of existence, with regards to the causal phenomena, or the understanding of the law of karma, understanding of cause and effect. Basically, good begets good, evil begets evil. This is one understanding which we say right understanding. The other understanding is with regards to the Four Noble Truths. Here we see how the Noble Eightfold Path is directly related to the Four Noble Truths. And in the Four Noble Truths, you can also find the Noble Eightfold Path. How they are interrelated. That the understanding of the Four Noble Truths is referred to as what you call the supramundane aspect of right understanding. It is called the supramundane aspect because it is through the understanding of the Four Noble Truths that we are able to break the mundane side, the worldly side. Just by understanding cause and effect, just by understanding cause and effect, by understanding that good begets good, evil begets evil, it will encourage us to avoid evil and do good. This is very good, but still not sufficient. Doing good alone is not sufficient because good begets good. In order to reach this good effect, again we have to come in one form or another. So in order to transcend this, the transcendence of all is by the understanding of the Four Noble Truths. There are also other aspects of right understanding with regard, but they are all interconnected with these two things, the Four Noble Truths and the law of karma. When we see the law of karma, how action gives rise to reaction, or conditions, reaction, cause gives rise to effect, then we see also the phenomena of change. And when we begin to see the phenomena of change, that all things, all component things are subject to change. That which is subject to change is also subject to unsatisfactoriness. And there is no permanent entity. So, in other words, the three characteristics of existence, anicca, dukkha, anatta, they can also be derived from this understanding. And then we have, as we mentioned, the dependent origination, law of dependent origination. This is, in fact, directly related to, in fact, what the Buddha realized is, Buddha realized this dependent arising, how things arises depending on causes, conditions. Nothing arises from nothing. For something to arise, there must be cause or condition. And when we speak in terms of cause, we don't speak in terms of single cause. There are a harmony of causes which gives rise to certain effects. And in fact, it is through the realization of the law of dependent origination that we can come to these teachings on the Four Noble Truths, and also that can be related to the law of karma. So these are how we explain from the Buddhist point of view what right understanding is about. And generally we can explain when understanding is free from greed, free from hatred, free from delusion, we say that is right understanding. Right. Now the next factor, right thought. What is right thought? What are right thoughts? Now, when the Buddha explained right thoughts, all these 8 factors, first he explained what is wrong thought. Then after that, explain what is right thought. So, there are certain wrong thoughts to overcome. There are the thoughts of covetousness, thought of ill will, hatred, anger or aversion, and then the thought of cruelty, cruel thoughts, cunning, wicked thoughts, wishing harm to others, want to see others' downfall. Then the opposite, right thoughts are therefore thoughts of free from covetousness. What is this covetousness? This covetousness is the excessive craving. In the Pali term, it says, what do you call this? Abhijja visama lobo. Loba is greed. Abhijja, it's a very, the excessive form of craving, which is poisonous, which is dangerous, no? Because we have already, in order to live, in order to exist, we have a certain amount of craving already to have our basic requirements of life, to have our needs. We need all these things. Now, but what happens is, when there is excessive craving, when we see other people's things, we also want that. That is that covetousness. We see other people have. They have changed their cars. Our neighbors have changed the cars, and our car is a little bit old, but still in good working order. But no, we want to change also. When you see neighbor buy a bigger house, you also want to compete that. This kind of competition, whatever you see others, you want it. And that is that excessive craving, and it leads to a lot of suffering. It does not stop there. It goes on, and you see other people having 2 wives, you also want 2 wives. And then you want to possess other people's wives, other people's husband also. That is what you call covetousness. Usually people talk about, when they talk about covetousness, in the Christian sense, they say, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, or thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's husband. And this covetousness here refers not only to husband and wife, but also to other things as well, other possessions as well. And the positive aspect, to have the right understanding or to have this right thought, the thought of giving up. Any time when you have thoughts of giving up, renouncing, then that is right thought. Don't be afraid of it. Giving up what? Giving up worldly possessions, giving up certain worldly attachment to things. And by giving up worldly attachment to things, eventually this should lead to the giving up. The real form of renunciation is the renunciation of greed, the renunciation of hatred, and the renunciation of ignorance. These evil roots, greed, hatred, and ignorance, real renunciation. Then you really renounce things. Then thoughts of when the mind is free from aversion, then the mind cultivates what you call thoughts of goodwill or metta, loving kindness. And every time you have the thought that you wish others evil, you wish others well and happy, every time the thought arises that may all beings be well and happy, and you truly, sincerely wish to see the well-being of others, then that is the right thought. You have at that moment right thought. And similarly, when you have the thought, when you cherish the thought to see, when you come across suffering or unfortunate beings who are less fortunate than you are, then you have the thought that they be free from suffering. This is thoughts of compassion. And that compassionate thought, that kind thought, is also another form of right thought. So right thought basically are those thoughts. Thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of loving kindness, and thoughts of compassion. And when we cultivate this, right understanding, right thought, this is how the mind can become free from suffering. Every time when there is sorrow, where there is grief in the mind, when there is sorrow, when there is grief in the mind, if we look in the mind, if we calm down the mind, we will see that the cause of the sorrow, the cause of the pain in the mind, you can boil down to one of these. Either you have wrong understanding or wrong thoughts. And every time there is anger in you, there is pain inside. You feel pain. And every time there is the craving, strong craving, then when you are not able to get it, there is pain. When you get it also, you want some more, then pain arises. And so these are right understanding and right thoughts, and together they comprise what we call wisdom. When we talk about wisdom, we refer to these two components according to the Noble Eightfold Path. Wisdom comprises of right understanding and right thought. So naturally, when we talk of a wise person not only has this right understanding, but he has also right thoughts. In other words, he has the thoughts of metta, of loving kindness and compassion. So we will go on to the next path factor, the third path factor. What is the third path factor? Right speech. First they have to learn and remember that the four kinds of right speech. What are the four kinds of right speech she mentioned? First is abstain from lying. That means free from lying, but with truthful speech. To speak the truth. Then, second is to abstain from, be free from slander. Free from slander. And instead, to speak well of others and promote any speech that helps to promote unity. Because when we talk about slander, we often refer to that kind of speech that people have to defame others' character. And the aim of this slander is to divide people so that they can win more votes. Not only votes, but also when they come to friendship, when they are unable to get what they want for certain friends, then they talk bad. And in that manner, they split people. It is through this kind of slander, through this kind of wrong speech, husbands can be separated from wives. Children can be separated from parents. Brothers from brothers. Sisters from sisters. Mother-in-laws separated from daughter-in-laws, and so on. All through the power of wrong speech. So, how many people, just if we can address ourselves today alone, how we have used many words today, and of the words that you use, how much of it concern talking bad about others, and how much speaking well of others? Then you can see whether there is this right speech with respect to slander or bringing unity and harmony among people. Then the third kind of right speech is when one is free from harsh speech, harsh language. She mentioned about those people who are not so well educated, they have harsh speech. Well, after that, she turned and pointed out the meaning of education. Well, she is right. If we, but actually this harsh speech, it is true, we see some people, but particularly those people who go to the higher, higher institutes of learning, that's where they pick up a lot of harsh speech, but they are not educated, They only go for schooling, In the universities, in the colleges, you can hear that. Oh, you see. Because they want to be rugged, Otherwise, people will say, oh, he is a sissy, goody-goody type. He does not know how to speak ruggedly. So they have to use some very harsh language to show that they are somebody. And usually people pick up this one from the higher institutes of learning. But we call those people, you are right in saying that they are not educated. They are intellectuals, but they are intellectual barbarians, we call, And those people who have not refined themselves in such higher schools, higher, institutes of learning, if they have not cultured their minds, if they have not cultured their speech, then they are only intellectuals, and still they are very uncouth, uncultured, Uncultured people we call barbarians, Right. So, wrong, harsh language. You see, through this, people have been so used to speaking harsh language, and they do not know how to be polite. That is why in many places now they have to spend a lot of money every year. Government has to spend a lot of money in order to have campaign, to teach the people how to speak politely. And they have training courses also to train the people how to say yes, thank you, hello, over the phone you hear. So that right speech is important. In other words, this aspect with regards to refined language. Wherever Buddhism flourishes, you will find in that language there are, in one language, now take for example, in India there is one language for ordinary people. In Hindi language, there's one for the ordinary people and one for the more respectable ones. No? And you use different. There are different intonation, there are different words also for it. In Sri Lanka also, the Sinhalese language, and influenced by Buddhist culture, you find when the people speak to the monks, they speak in one language. When they speak to the layman, same meaning but different words. So sometimes it's a bit difficult to learn, no? When they speak to the monks, and the monks, when they say yes to the monk, they say, Amai, Amai. And when they turn to the layman, they say, oh. So from A become O. But they mean the same thing, no? And there are like this. And now in India, when you want to say to some respectable people, come, let us go, we say, chaliye. Very nice, no? Some of you who watch the Hindi films, they say, chaliye. But when you want to ask the rickshaw to take you to some place, you don't say chaliye, you say cholo. And so same, but you have two words, no? And like this. Even for sitting down also, when people invite you to sit down, when they talk to the monks, when they talk to their respectable ones, then they have different language. This is what you call refined. This is what you call culture, no? And go to China, also you find those words. Influence, when they had, wherever there is this influence of right speech, and they address their elders in certain language, and others they have another form of language. And similarly, you find in Japan also they have this kind. So in many languages you find this. There is the refined language and there is the ordinary, the coarse, the rougher kind of language. So the refined speech, polite speech, it is important to cultivate. Then that is the third aspect. Then the fourth aspect of right speech is free from, is to speak. Our speech should be free from what you call frivolous talk or vain talk or useless talk. What do we mean by this useless talk? You know, she mentioned that what you call something about women, huh? And well, I don't support. I don't say yes or no, you know. And but you can judge for yourself. You see whether they speak a lot of useless talk or not. But first you have to understand what is this useless talk. What is this vain talk? Now, useless talk are those kinds of talk that you just yak, and while away your time, and there is nothing useful, there is nothing that you can learn about life, there is nothing that you can gain through the talk to discipline yourself, to overcome your problems, to overcome your difficulties. But instead, the more you talk, the more you have indulged in frivolous thought, the more it generates greed, more desire arises in the mind, more hatred arises, more jealousies arise, more envy arises, and more ignorance and stupidity arise in the mind, more confused mind. That is the nature of useless thought. And not only women indulge, men also indulge in useless thought. No? And they talk about so many things. From the top of the head right to the tip of the toes. They can talk. And that can be the subject of what you call the conversation. Usually when they go to parties, you know, to break the ice, they first see, you know, I do not know, in certain places where people use hats, so they start from the hat. You know, beautiful hat you have. They appreciate the hat first. Then after that, they ask, where did you get it? Then they begin to talk. Oh, you know, that shop, there are different patterns. This one like this one like that. How much is it, And now, after that, change the topic, you know. Go down a little bit. Oh, you know, where your eyelashes like that, And your, you know, your color. Oh, the color is very good, And then they go on to the earring, and then they go on, to the dress, and then to the brand, what brand they use, what fashion. After talking like this, they spend about 3-4 hours, and then, you know, time to go back. And what have they achieved? Is there a lot of energy, no? Talk, but instead they have created. After talking this, when they go back, then they begin to think. Before they sleep, play back. Whatever they have talked, come up again, you know. And then they say, that's the fashion now, in trend, and it is so cheap, cheaper than mine. Then the one thing comes, desire to get this thing. Where to get it? Then you say, I must telephone her and find where she got it. So it creates, this kind of talk creates a lot of desire. Or else, in the market, sometimes I used to listen to what people talk in the market, no? And they don't see me, And of course, before I became a monk, I used to drive my mother, and then I watch, and then in the car, and I hear what people say. Oh, they say, you know, oh, my son, you know, he has gone to London. And another one say, oh, no, he has gone. My son studied in Singapore. And they talk about their son, they talk about their daughters, they talk, very highly about that, no? And then some cannot say, oh, you know, but the one in London didn't want to come back anymore. And they talk they blow, hot air. And this is what you call vain talk. They talk about all the high things, and they always talk well about their son. They talk about husband, talk well about son, talk about, and it creates what? The other person listening to it creates anger, envy, jealousy arises in the minds of those people. So we must know how to, if we cannot totally abstain these things, otherwise, everybody, you look me, I look you, and no talk, you see. So talk a little bit. But a skillful, when you know what is right speech about, you can turn that useless talk into useful talk. No? You see, some people today, they talk about recession. This is a hot topic everywhere. Even in the, you go to taxi, in the taxi, they will ask you, They will ask for some, recently, Chief Reverend and I came for taxi. The taxi man was asking for, some good luck charm, And he says, no, why? He says, bad luck, cannot get no money and cannot, very bad time, always not enough money, And now if we take this occasion, you see, we can point out, yes, this is the nature, change, life change like this. Sometimes you have good time, sometimes bad time. This is anicca, And this is the unsatisfactory nature of life. You see? Dukkha. When you point out, when you are able to point out these things, you see, there have been monks, in Sri Lanka. They have also written a lot of what you call historical things. The Mahavamsa, Deepavamsa, they talk about various things. They talk about the wars, they talk about that. But in the final chapter, they point out, you see, all these, I am writing this to show the impermanent nature of life. So he is not talking rubbish. He is talking sense, talking all that and illustrate. So you don't aspire, you don't tell the wife, your husband is really a rascal, very bad one, and then you make her get very, she now decide now, fire. I fire, what you call legal proceedings. And instead you speak well. Of course, no need to speak immediately, but try to. And this is a psychotherapy, when the problems with husband and wife, when they have problems, always when they are angry, they always think all the negative things about their partners, about their husband, about their wife. But when they are cooled down a little bit, you just try to find out from them, is there anything good your husband has done for you? If the mind is still very hot, it says nothing, And but when cool down a little bit, can you remember last year your during Christmas or during your anniversary, did your husband buy for you anything? Yeah, just small ring only, one small diamond only, Hunter, now she begins to think. The moment she begins to think of something good, her mind will come down, and her mind is on the way to recovery. You see? And this is a psychotherapy. This kind of treatment is based on the virtue of what you call gratitude. Gratitude is a strong purifier of the mind. It helps one to purify the mind. You don't tell the wife, your husband is really a rascal, really that one, and then you make her get very, she now decide now, fire. I fire what you call legal proceedings. And instead you speak well. Of course, no need to speak immediately, but try to. And this is a psychotherapy, when the problems with husband and wife, when they have problems, whether they are good or bad, it is immaterial. We are bound to perform certain duties towards them. But in Western countries, their attitude is different. But here, in this part of the world also, many of our young couples try to adopt this attitude. So when we visit this old folk home, old ladies and old men tell us we have many children who can afford to support us, but they don't care for us. That is why we are here today. In fact, we won't get even anything from them. So, this can become some sort of curse, actually, if we neglect our parents. That is what the Buddha says here. Those who can afford to support their father and mother, if they neglect them, that will become the cause of their downfall. That means it is some sort of curse. And the others who have seen how these people have looked after when they were young, and they never respect these people. They pass remarks, they criticize and condemn their attitude. That is how it will become a curse. One father and mother can look after even 10 children without allowing them to suffer when they were young. Even 10 children also cannot look after one father and mother when they are old. Neglect. The Buddha wanted to point out so many social ills, the evil practices in the society. In his teaching, in various discourses, pointed out. So all these are under morals and ethics, Buddhist morals and Buddhist ethics. The next one. He who by falsehood deceives a Brahmana or an ascetic or any other mendicant, this is the cause of his downfall. Now this is another important saying of the Buddha. Yo brahmanang va samanang va anyang va pivanibbakang musavadena vancheti tang para bhavato mukham. Brahmanang va samanang va anyang va pivanibbakang. There are three groups here. Brahmana means Hindu priest. That means the priests who belong to another religious group.
in India. Now today, when we talk about other religions, Christians, Hindus, Muslims and Buddhists, to have priests. So Brahmins are the priests according to Hindu religion. That is the meaning of Brahmin. Samana belong to Jaina and Buddhist.